And welcome to today's video as we cover the LCS North America LTA North teams that have ever gotten out of quarterfinals at Worlds. Sorry, not out of quarterfinals. Geez, out of group stage. You see a lot of Cloud9 on here. Cloud9 has been the team has definitely been the most successful North American organization at the Worlds event. Year in and year out, when they go, they more often than not get out of quarters. During at least the 2016 to 2021 window. Of course, there may be a year in there that we all know left a little bit to be desired if you are a Cloud9 onlooker. But regardless, so comment down below with which of these teams you were most surprised about that got out of group stage or in 2023-2024 Swiss stage. And of course, it's going to be NRG because NRG, we have win rate here, right? So regular season, playoffs, international. And what's interesting is about that, before we get into NRG specifically, because NRG definitely are, in my opinion, the biggest surprise, is really before recent history where we've had two seeds going to MSI from the major regions, the historic major regions that I've discussed in these videos. Seldom were the teams that got to Worlds quarterfinals out of these groups, or in the case of the LPL and LCK, the teams that did not get out of the group stage, they did not go to MSI, which is ironic, really. Outside of that G2 team that won it, really, it doesn't happen very often. Normally, it's they made it to quarterfinals. Well, they didn't actually go to MSI, or they didn't go to quarters. They didn't go to MSI. So, 2014, we have TSM. They made it as a 1 seed. They're the only 1 seed out of NRG and FlyQuest since pretty much 10 years ago, 11 years ago now. Win rates. Internationally, North America generally struggles. So seeing red numbers here, not a big surprise. We look at 2017 Cloud9, they had a 67% win rate internationally, 12-6. Of course, had a great play-in stage, but also followed that up with a solid main event. Now, NRG in 2023, they join the LCS in summer, right? And it didn't last very long. Their tenure in the LCS didn't last very long. And then not only that, but you look at their history here, 9-9, followed by 12-8 and 4-4. So 50% win rate, 60% win rate, 50% win rate. Truly a shocking team to end up getting to the quarterfinal stage. This and that can be said about their trip there. I don't give a fuck about the order in their trip, in their journey to quarters. The fact of the matter is, a lot of teams have had shit trips, and a lot of teams have had blessed trips to get there, where they just get the luckiest matchups in these last 3 seasons now, pretty much, of the Swiss stage. That's just a reality of life, and I don't give it much credence. So the fact of the matter is, I just think that it's a surprise they got there. This team was a 50-50 team in the regular season. Weren't overly dominant during playoffs, and then somehow, some way, find a way into quarterfinals. It kind of is what it is. I am truly surprised by it, and I still am. It reminds me of when DRX in 2022 won Worlds after literally going 50-50. You hit a patch. If you hit a patch right, that's why I say every 2 weeks the rules change. Because if you can maximize a patch, you can do a lot of great things, especially during playoffs or a international tournament. Now, the other team I look at and I consider as a team that would be a surprise. So you're pretty much looking at all the Cloud9 rosters, a TSM roster, and a FlyQuest roster. It's 2018 Cloud9 to me. That's the roster where they played fuck around and had Keith and Golden Glue in the main roster, benching Jensen and Sneaky for a short period of time due to some, concerns around scrims or anything like that, if I recall back to that time. And there may be work ethic or this or that. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, that team still ended up going to Worlds and still getting out of group stage once again. They had a 43% win rate in the playoffs that year. That is not all that strong. Hell, it was their worst regular season win rate at 61% out of every Cloud9 roster on here. 2021, I do not cite the lock-in stats because lock-in was not real to me. That was a preseason for fun tournament because, I mean, you look at the rosters, half the teams were playing academy rosters. But that roster was the weakest in win rate, but still went to the main event, that being Worlds, getting out of group stage and a 64% win rate in that tournament. Of course, that does probably include play-ins if you really think about it, because that team was historic. I mean, they're 3 seed. They went to play-ins 2016, 17, 18, and 2021. But they were a solid bet to get out, and not only a solid bet to get out, they were a team that utilized that play-in stage to get their feet wet, get what they understood as the meta and what would win in that patch, and took it through group and then quarterfinals, and hell, got to semifinals. Truly, like FlyQuest right now, this whole notion, this is the best roster in North American history. If they can't get to semis, no, it's not. And you can, and I will let me think about this for a second, because I do believe in the thought that you could just play the best team in the world as the 5th best team in the world in quarterfinals. You could be the 2nd best team playing the best team in quarterfinals and just lose. Best of 1s, best of 3s, best of 5s. You have different formats there. BO1's obviously the most random of the 3. BO3 is a little more insightful on what could happen, and best of 5 is a better barometer. Theoretically, you could run best of 5 tournament. That does not mean MSI is perfect. Like I say all the time, no reset, no double elim for me. So, best of 5s are a better indicator of team strength. So FlyQuest in particular, compared to a Cloud9 roster that got to semifinals, I mean, Fly need to get it done. Especially because from start to finish, they've been considered the most dominant team in LTA. Them and CFO jostling back and forth for best team and in the regions that weren't the LPL and LCK statistically, and really in our minds as well, and what we saw in the Rift. So that is a thing. Losing to G2 today is whatever. It's whatever. I had both going to quarterfinals, so G2 are in. Now FlyQuest just has to do their part. But yeah. So after that little ramble in here, I would say 2018 Cloud9 are the surprise team to get out of quarters, get out of group stage. Outside of the 2023 NRG team, I think that's the easy, low-hanging fruit. Try and think about it a bit more and think back to these teams and which one were you surprised got out of group stage or Swiss stage. Maybe 2024 FlyQuest was a surprise for you that they got out based on how you felt going into the tournament. Don't think about it in hindsight on how the team did in quarters, but who was a surprise that got there. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.